Welcome to the Gastlecast. I'm Chris.
I'm Heather.
We went to Monster Mania 2019 soon after I got back from New York Comic Con, and we actually spent most of our weekend at Monster Mania, which was at Hunt Valley, Maryland. We've gone one other time before, and we had a blast, so we decided to go again this year.
I'm so glad we did. I was able to meet so many people that sort of played these iconic roles in horror films.
Yeah, so we actually met a lot of D-list celebrities.
In your opinion.
While we were at Monster Mania. That was the major draw for us to even go. Meeting all these different celebrities. Heather, do you want to ring off a couple names?
Tony Todd from Candyman.
Yeah, that was awesome. We got a photo with him.
Mm-hmm. The Grady Twins from The Shining.
Oh my God. Let's start with them. And then we'll move into all the different people we met. We met the Grady Twins, and those two are hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Lisa and Louise Burns.
One of them, I don't know, since they're twins, I don't really know who's who. Mm-hmm. One was very energetic and a little bit, had more of a wild side than the other. Heather had her Grady Twins Chase Funko Pops signed by them. And while they're signing it, one wrote a heart on one side, the other one wrote Hi Heather on the other.
Heather.
Or Hello Heather on the other side. And on the front it said something like, come and play with us, Danny.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever. And they signed it. One of them mentioned, the wilder one, mentioned to take the Funko Pop and pull its head off.
Yeah, she said that she wished that they talked so you could pull the head off and it would like sort of short circuit, and she did an impression of what it would sound like.
What does it sound like?
Come and play with us!
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness! Okay.
It was really weird. Like, the whole experience with them was really bizarre.
Cool.
But the best part of it, which
not again.
It is my favorite story of the Monster Mania Con. Heather walks up, and basically the wilder one, she takes her hands like this, and she's like, you are so tiny, you are so tiny. Now keep in mind, the Grady Twins are like, I don't know, 4 foot something. I mean, they're really small.
Really short.
Really small. Like,
very, very short.
Yeah, very, very short.
Very just petite women.
But they're very short. Heather leans in and goes, you're tiny too.
I meant
and I go, Heather, you just called them little people. Like, what are you doing?
I didn't. I meant it that she was very petite.
It was the funniest thing ever. I think my next funniest moment from Monster Mania was meeting Neve Campbell.
Oh my goodness.
So, our buddy Jeremiah, you guys know Jeremiah, we've talked about him 100 times.
And he's been on here.
Jeremiah wanted to get something signed by Neve Campbell. Well, they had a slew of pictures you could have signed, and one of them had like her boobs like completely hanging out. And I was like, he was there with his mom. I was like, Jeremiah, you should totally pick the boob picture. He's like, I can't do that. I go, yeah, well, I guess it would be weird going back to your room tonight with this big boob picture. So I was like, which one are you going to do? So he picked the one of her like on the phone. Like it was a screen picture.
Yeah.
So as we get up there, you know, Neve Campbell sitting there. She's really sweet, I gotta say. She's very sweet. Very quiet, not very talkative.
And she has not aged a bit.
No, she hasn't. But I made her laugh twice. And I'm pretty proud of that. I leaned in and I was like, hey, you should have everybody write Jeremiah is a bullfrog. And she laughed. And I was like, that's great. And then Jeremiah proceeds to say, I really love the Scream film. When I was in high school, I watched that VHS so much I burned it up. I said, you shouldn't say stuff like that. It makes you look weird. And Neve Campbell really got a laugh out of that. Jeremiah looked so awkward. After that, his face was all red. He's like, what? We laughed about it after the fact, but at the moment, I don't think he realized I was going to say something like that. Like, I think it completely blew his mind.
Never take Chris anywhere. That's all I have to say.
I was like, I don't know. I was on my New York Comic Con high. And at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to say whatever I want. It just didn't even matter anymore. Right next to Neve Campbell's table was Jamie Kennedy, better known as Randy from Scream. That's how I know him. But you know him for a whole other reason.
He was also B-Rad from Malibu's Most Wanted.
And when we came home from Monster Mania, you had me sit down and watch Malibu's Most Wanted just so I could take in all of its glory.
It's probably one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Meeting Jamie Kennedy was obviously a must for me. When we got up to his table, I paid to have my Ghostface Funko Pop signed. Only because they don't have a B-Rad G. I got the pop signed. We took a selfie with him, which was awesome.
Yes.
And if you like stood back and watched him take selfies with people, half of them he did like a duck face in, and it was hilarious. Oh my god, that man is so funny. I sort of had a YOLO moment, and I was like, you know what? When is the next time I'm ever going to be in front of Jamie Kennedy ever in my life? So I'm going to ask him to record a video clip as B-Rad from Malibu's Most Wanted.
I told you, Heather, that's not cool. I wouldn't do that, because when you're going to these cons, especially the smaller ones with like these smaller celebrities, you have to pay money for a picture and an autograph. So you can go up and get both, or just one or the other. Asking him to make a video.
But the worst he can say is no.
No, it's true, and you prove that. You prove that because you asked him, and
Hey, this is B-Rad. Yo, B-Rad G right here. We in Baltimore. You know how hard it is when you got like people all up on your private beach?
That's kind of what made me want to come home and watch Malibu's Most Wanted. I wanted to understand what the heck he was talking about. I thought that was really funny. That was a funny part of the movie. And it was funny that that's what he came up with when he was standing there with us.
As I was walking away from the table, he said the greatest thing of all time. I said, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. We were leaving. And I turned around and looked at him because he said, hey. And he said, don't be hating, which is like his famous line of the movie.
That's awesome.
And I loved it.
Another person that we met was Roger L. Jackson, who is the voice of Ghostface from Scream. He's a cool guy. He's really nice. He also played the voice of Mojo Jojo.
Yes, from Powerpuff Girls.
From Powerpuff Girls.
Someone else that we met was Keith David. And the main reason we met him is because our friend Mark Mountain asked us to get his Arbiter Pop from Halo signed by Keith David because he's the one that does the voice to it. Yeah,
so Keith David also is the voice of Goliath in Gargoyles. He was in The Thing, and he was also in Something About Mary.
Yes, that was my favorite role of his. Another one of my favorite movies. He played Mary's stepfather, and you meet him when Ben Stiller gets his junk stuck in his zipper. And he says his famous quote, I think, in my opinion, about the beans being above the Frank.
Oh, right, yeah.
That kills me.
The one thing I can say about him is that he had very strong cologne.
Yes,
I smelled him throughout the entire con. When I would smell this particular cologne, I would look up and I'd look for him and I'd see him in the distance. That's how strong this stuff was. The next person we met was Nick Castle from Halloween 1978. He played Michael Myers.
Yeah, true icon.
He's an awesome guy. Took a selfie with us, signed Pop. But you actually have a funny story about Nick Castle.
I took my Michael Myers Funko Pop that I got signed by John Carpenter earlier this year at another Comic-Con with the intent of getting it signed by Nick Castle. And when I was in front of him, right before he was about to sign it, I said, do you mind writing your most famous Michael Myers quote on the pop? And he looks at me, he said, but I didn't say anything. And I said, yeah, that was a joke.
That was a pretty good line.
Sort of was, but when I had to explain that it was a joke.
That's still pretty good, though.
That's when you're sort of just like, oh, well, that failed. Matthew Lillard was there.
Matthew Lillard of Scream fame, the very first Scream. Mm-hmm. He was also in the film Without a Paddle.
Mm-hmm. Another one of my favorites.
He was also Shaggy and Scooby-Doo.
I got so lucky with that whole line thing because the line for Matthew Lillard was horrendous. There was this line that was like down the sidewalk, and when you look, like, you couldn't even see where it like was going to.
No, it was insane.
Our friend Jacques messages me. He said, oh, I'm in the line waiting for Matthew Lillard. He's like, come wait in line with me. Thank God that he knows how to think quick on his feet. I come up to him and he's like, damn, Starbucks line that long? I saved like an hour and a half or 2 hours by going up with him. As he's signing my Funko Pop, he's like, hey, want to take a picture? And then Chris shows up. He's like, oh yeah, let's take a picture. I'm like,
Yep, so I got in the picture. I got in the photo. Yeah, I got in the photo, and then Heather gave him, well, the reason why he got the photo is because he liked your paint pens.
Yeah.
So you gave them to him, and he traded it for a selfie with us.
Yeah.
So that was cool. You didn't have to pay for it. 2 paint pens for a selfie? Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, fine by me.
Outside of the celebrity stuff, the con was great. There was a lot of cosplayers there. There was a lot of vendors there that were selling a lot of horror-esque merchandise. I found a really cool action figure. It's almost like a life-size action figure of a Puppet Master doll called Blade. I loved the Puppet Master films as a kid. I found the Blade. They had a non-bloody and a bloody. And at first the guy wanted $50 for the non-bloody and $75 for the bloody. I saw it, I left, came back, the non-bloody was gone, and all he had was the bloody. And I was like, I really like this. So I was like, well, what's the best you can do? And he gave it to me for $60. Wow. So I was pretty happy with that. So here's the Puppet Master Blade figure that I picked up from Monster Mania. This figure's really neat. This is the bloody variation. He has blood on his face and on his jacket. We're going to pull this out of the box. Interestingly enough, this box was already open. I didn't know if I was going to open it or not when I got home, but the box is pretty banged up. It has some spots up here. It has a tear right here, I guess, where they originally opened it. But this figure is really cool. I remember seeing this in the store back when it was originally released, and I remember seeing it at the store Spencer's. So here he is out of the box. Now he does have shelf wear. I can tell there's some like dust on his hat, so I'll have to clean this guy up a little bit. But he looks great. He has the bloody jacket here. It goes all the way down to his shoe. The face mold looks really good. It's supposed to be movie accurate, and it is. Even by the size, it's supposed to be movie accurate. This figure is in really good shape. Aside from a little bit of the shelf wear, I'll just clean them up a little bit. Now the arms do bend, it seems like. So these arms do bend here. His legs bend as well. He's not like fully posable. I mean, his feet don't swivel or anything, but he's real. Oh, and the shoes do move up and down, but he doesn't really turn too much. But wow, I mean, this is a really cool figure. It's too bad that I didn't buy this guy when he originally came out. I would have loved to have the bloody and the regular version of this figure because it's so cool. So now I think I want to track down some of the other Puppet Master puppets to go along with this guy because I really happen to like this. I bought a couple t-shirts that were cool.
Pins. You bought like a ton of pins.
I bought a lot of pins because they had some really cool pins there. The t-shirt I purchased and the pins that I purchased were from a company called Beast Wreck. And Beast Wreck is awesome. I met the guy there who was selling all the stuff. I believe that he's the artist. But the stuff that he had was really neat, and I couldn't pass it up. And he did something really cool. The night that we arrived there, I bought one pin, and it was 3 for $25. It's $10 if you only buy one. Well, the next day I got there and I bought another. And as I'm standing at the table with my other one that I'm paying for, I go, listen, I bought a pin last night. If I bought 2 pins, can you give me the $25 deal? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And he did. And I thought that was really cool. The other thing I was looking for while I was there was Critter stuff. And I found a Critter's picture and a Critter's pin. Guys, what'd you think about all the stuff we picked up while we were at Monster Mania 2019 in Hunt Valley, Maryland? And who was the coolest celebrity that we met? Let us know all of that and more down in the comment section below. Guys, remember as always, we are together, yes! We'll catch you next time.
Bye.